Rightio, guys. In this video, we're going to be having a look at climate graphs. So we're going to be going through the practice questions that we have on page 25. I'm going to be highlighting the specific areas because the climate graph is going to be combining two styles of graph together. We have a column graph down the bottom, which is in blue, and we can see by the description on the side that is describing the rainfall, and the line graph that is up higher, and you can see it has its own scale up here in the red, is going to be representing the temperature. Now, what's the use of a climate graph? So climate is different to weather, even though people might use them interchangeably. Weather is describing the conditions of air pressure, temperature, rainfall on a day-to-day basis, and it can be quite difficult to try and predict. Climate, however, is something that is far more predictable, okay? Because it's happening over a longer period of time and it is a trend that we can measure. So that is what a climate graph is showing. Focus on a particular area. This one is Edinburgh in the United Kingdom. It's showing its latitude and longitude. So the coordinates, like what we did in the last lesson with our degrees and minutes. And it's also showing its elevation above sea level, which is another thing that might affect the climate. So let's go through the questions together and fill in the blanks as we go. So what month is the hottest month? So we need to completely ignore this section down here in the blue because that is all talking about rainfall. So anything in the blue, when it comes to hot, cold, temperature, we need to be coming up to the line graph. So we can see that the scale starts here at 0. None of it's starting at 0. It's starting around about 3. So we're going to follow the line till it gets to its peak. Its peak is tapping out around about August. So we got June, July, August. What would be a correct answer? June, July. I'm going to put it down as July. Now, what month is the coldest? So if we're coming back down again, down the trend, if I go to the end of December, which is what we would associate as one of our hotter times, so we're in the reverse because now we're in the northern hemisphere with the UK and Europe. Our line that we have coming across is the 4. On this side here in January, January is by far consistently our coldest month. So we're going to put that down. What is the average temperature of October? So this is where we're going to start reading the scale on the side and using that as our answer because it's given us the month. So October, if I work up, is intersecting around about here. And if I work along, we're going up in lots of 2. So in between the 8 and the 12, this would be 10. 10, 10 what? Make sure you don't just write the number by itself. It's in degrees, 10 degrees. Which month receives the most rainfall? This is where we ignore the red and come down to the blue. Which month receives the most rainfall? So which column has the highest rating on the scale? On this scale down here, it's clearly this one right here for August. August also coming in with a high temperature. This would seem to be like their rainy sort of season. So let's put that down. Which month receives the least rainfall? Exactly the same. We're looking for the dip. We can see that there is a trend coming up here, flattens out. It's clear that this one here in April is going to be our month. Been using the highlight the whole time. Let's keep going with the highlight. April is our month with the lowest column. What is the average monthly rainfall in June? So same as with the temperature, we're reading down here, we're going to pinpoint it on the side. So let's find June, January, February, March, April, May, June. Here, work along. It seems to be going up in lots of 10, in between 30, 40, 50 would be here. 50 what? 50 mils of rain. This all seems pretty straightforward. We're just knowing what section to read. Now we're going to look at describing an overall trend where we put these two pieces of information together. Describe the climate in London. So looking at the temperature, we can see that it ranges from 4 all the way up to maybe a peak of 14. Okay, so that's a bit of information I'm going to use to describe. Because if you said, oh, London goes from being cold to hot, like, you're not really telling me anything. That's everywhere in the world, bar a couple of extreme places. If we come over here to the rainfall ranges from, and it seems to be a bit of a tighter range, ranges from 40, just below 40, maybe 39 mils to a peak of around about 70 mils in the month. And we can see the averages are down here as well. This is something that gives you another good snapshot that if your average temperature over the course of the year is only around about 8.5 degrees, that's not particularly warm, especially where we come from. And our rainfall, 664 mils, it's pretty wet. And if you know anything about the UK, it's a pretty wet place. You don't get a lot of sunshine when you're up there. So describing the climate in London, what could we say? Start by saying, on average, temps do not go over 8.5 degrees, making London a cold location. As for rainfall, it appears the location receives consistent rain of about what would I say the average is, about between 40 and 70, around about 55 mils. That's probably the most wordiest way that you could describe it, but some things that I've done to back up what I'm saying is I'm actually pointing out the averages of the degrees. So the simple answer of saying that, London is cold and London is wet, you are correct. And that would be getting you the passing mark. When you start actually pointing out the degrees to back up what you're saying, like when you're writing a Peel paragraph that you explain and then you give some evidence, that would be the second level of providing a response. So that is climate graphs. On the other page, we have a chance to create a climate graph. So putting in the columns with the average temperatures and the average rainfall. And then on the flip side, we have our mini assessment task where we're not creating a climate graph, and the questions are going to be very similar to what we've just done here.